Good evening, and welcome to Roads Uncharted. I am Mary, and I am the Dungeon Master for this campaign. Uh, we last saw our party
Welcome to Roads Uncharted.
in
I
the
am
city of
Mary, and I am
Saleen,
the Dungeon Master
and
for this campaign.
they had fallen asleep after enjoying some of the pre-festival festivities. That's a little redundant. Give me just one second here.
It was that good
Okay.
of a festival that we went redundant.
So nice they named it twice. So they were woken, unfortunately, by the sound of screams and sobbing and guards rushing throughout the city as parents throughout several districts were calling out in aid because their children had gone missing. Bloop 8 never really fell asleep given the nature of their persona. You had been the first one to hear the screams and the cries when they were at their quietest, and as the noise had gotten louder, the rest of you had awoken. What do you do?
Well, first thing, when I start hearing the noises, I'll probably stand and rush to the window, kind of press my hands against the glass and start looking out, seeing if I can make anything out in the street.
Okay, so if you look out in the street, when this first happened, you see a woman in a white nightgown running up and down the street calling out, "Guards, guards, my son, he's gone missing." And you see guards coming down the street towards her at a nice clip. As they get close to her, that's when other people start calling out and exiting their homes and getting out in the streets and trying to tell the guards what they've seen. And so that's the start of it. And then from there, it just progresses to chaos.
I turn to look at the young boy in the bed. Is he still there?
Tate is still there.
I run over to the side of the bed and lean down with my hands on the mattress.
And I'll just kind of scoot. Just personal space.
Oh good, you're still here.
Yes? Did you...
I'm sorry, I didn't really mean to wake you, but it seems that there's some commotion going on in the streets.
Commotion?
Yes. It means lots of activity, and generally disorganized.
I know what the word means. There's commotion outside. I'm gonna get up and kind of get up on the other side of the bed, away from 8, and move my way around to the window and look out and see what's happening.
When you look out, the streets at this point are pretty packed, and considering they're not much wider than a horse's wide, that takes not much effort. But you do see quite a few guards in and amongst the throng. You do see people crying. You see people screaming. People milling through each other to try and open doors and get into houses and.
It is a commotion out there, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, most certainly a commotion. Perhaps you should go check on the others. I'm just gonna get myself more presentable. Just because was in bed.
I do believe I would feel more comfortable if we went together, because it seems children are going missing, And as
I'm
far
not a
as
child.
you,
I'm not a child, and I would feel more comfortable if you left so I could get dressed. Please,
I will do so,
friend.
but I would request that you not disappear.
Of course not. Just gonna change clothes. That's all.
Then I will go check on our other companions.
All right.
Make sure that they have not disappeared, though they look older than you do. And I'll turn and wait. I hover my hand over the door latch, and I recall
I'll
you have
cancel
enchanted the
arcane
door.
lock. Yep. Cancel that real quick so you can exit. Sorry, I'm not used to having roommates.
I am not used to this room. I will be back shortly. And I open the door, hit the latch or whatever, and stomp out.
The rooms you were able to get were next to each other, so you don't have to go far.
As soon as they are gone and the door is shut, I'm going to well, get dressed. But I want to make sure that I have my book and my spell book in my bag, and then I want to take my silver thread and I want to actually wrap it around the books inside my bag, and use the alarm spell on them.
Okay.
I'm bringing them with me.
Sounds good. 8.
I raise my fist and knock on our companion's bedroom door.
Is the knock that quiet?
Probably. I don't want to actually knock because I don't want my dogs to go crazy.
That's smart. That's smart.
Only took us like 10 tries to figure that one out, but
After a couple of knocks, I just kind of call through. Hello? It's me, 8. Your companion. I am here to check on you.
Are we awake or are we woken up by 8?
I had figured you probably were awoken by the sound, just because at this point you do have an entire city district surrounding you that
Screaming
is
and yelling?
crying out.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I acted like I just woke up, but I think we're already awake.
I was gonna say Rial and Chokol are probably like, what? Like super twitchy.
Super light sleeper, so like...
Paranoia galore.
Whoa!
I mean, they've been on the run for at least a week now, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep soundly. No.
No. Okay, yeah. Riala will go to the door and open it. You're okay. Tate is still with you. Yes?
I left him in the room. He
Okay.
requested it.
That's fine, as long as he was there. We were gonna go outside and see if we could get more information. And see what's happening.
That may be a wise course of action.
I think so. There seems to be quite the ruckus outside.
I would call it more a commotion.
Right. Exit the crew.
Are you gonna like sidle around 8 as they stand like in the middle of your doorway?
Stand right there. I'll like go to like move, but like he's still there, and it's like, are we really doing this like dance right now? Can I like? go that way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll
Yeah, I'm
turn
trying to.
like this and get out of the way.
Joker.
Dungeon Master, sorry. I don't have alarm prepared, so never mind.
Okay, so you just wrapped silver thread around a couple books and you're good?
No, I didn't wrap them. I forgot alarm is a first level spell. It's not a cantrip, so you have to prepare that. So, never mind.
All right. Action has been redacted. Jokel?
Jokel's just strapping on his armor, like he's not even like buckling all the buckles on his armor. He's just like SWAT vest. It's on him. It's close enough. And
I can
then
reach a few things.
yeah, he's just wearing it like a SWAT vest, and then he's using his spiked chain in place of the buckles because his spiked chain is long enough.
Waiting for Tate to be like behind him, like trying to get like some of the buckles, like trying to get the armor on.
Like force of habit, probably more than anything. He's like, I probably won't need it, but I'm paranoid. I'm gonna put this on.
Yeah, they're both like buckling each other's armor, probably. Like, okay, I got this. All right, we're good. We got this.
Synchronized panic.
Clutch. Christina, your laugh makes me so happy. To the audience watching, we have the cutest dungeon master. Just letting you know.
Who's in pajamas. All right, so let's
That's my case.
because I'm old. Because I'm old. All right, so you guys are gonna leave your room and you're gonna head down to where the bar part of the tavern is and head out. And then 8, are you gonna wait? You said you're gonna wait for Tate, right?
Well, I guess at this moment I'm waiting for Jokel to come out of the room as well, just kind of watching them put the armor on. And, yeah, I'll just kind of trail after everyone after they filter out of the rooms.
I come out and follow when I sort of hear them in the hallway.
All right. As you guys make your way down the stairs, nobody's downstairs. Not even Craig, the owner. So you're able to quickly get down the stairs, head through amongst all the tables, and open the door. And as you open the door, the full sound of the panic hits you, and it's like almost like walking into a wall where you had been muffled before and you heard it, but it wasn't as clear. Now it is as clear as day. And for the people nearest to you, they're shouting names, they're asking guard when, what is going on, where's my child, who did this, and the guards, from what you can gather, don't really have a good idea right now. They're actually more concerned with keeping the chaos under wraps, especially considering the city isn't really built for large crowds to be there all the time, and they're used to a lot of order every year around this time for the festival, that they're just trying to make sure that stampeding doesn't happen and that other things worse than panic erupt.
This normally happen at festivals.
I do not know. This would be my first time seeing this.
I'd wager probably not.
Jokel just nods in agreement. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kind of look down the street, then kind of back up into the tavern.
You're basically going to see all the bodies and then decide, I don't want to be a part of that.
Hashtag introvert. All right. Trying to decide who I want ask questions too. Is there a guard somewhere around me, around us?
There is a guard ahead of you, but he's about 2 people deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably your closest.
Okay, is there anyone else more free? Like anyone like...
There are a couple people that are standing to the right of the door, pressed up against the wall. They don't seem to be calling out for information, but they are watching.
I'm going to approach them.
All right.
Pardon me.
The woman that's closest turns to you.
What is happening? Do you have any information?
Well, I don't know. I was asleep in the tavern, right down the street there, and then I heard all this commotion of children going missing. Did you lose any?
I did not. I was wondering if it was the whole city.
Well, from what I can gather, it's all the guards are running down this street. I haven't gone very far, but all the cries, it's just so loud. I just don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Have you heard anything?
Not any more than you have, unfortunately. But, okay. I guess I'll go talk to the guards and see if there's anything we can do to help. Thank you.
All right. Oh, yes. All right, so you do have to not really push, but you have to kind of meander a little bit just to get close to the guard because he is surrounded by concerned parents.
Okay.
Look, I can't answer any questions right now. I'm just gathering information. You, Ms. Tannenbaugh, did both of them gone? Just the boy? All right. You, Mr. Carl, are both of yours gone? Yes, both? Yes? All right. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?
I wanted to ask for more information if there's anything that we could do that, to help.
Well, now right now we're gathering information, but I'm sure if Lady Benjamina needs assistance, she'll ask for it. But if you don't have any missing children, excuse me, we have a lot of people to attend. And with that, he turns to the next person and continues on his way. And as he's asking questions and taking note, there is actually a young boy. Well, I shouldn't say young boy, a young man wearing the very simple linens following him, and he's just scrawling in a ledger book as names are being shouted out.
I'll head back over to the rest of my group and I'll say no one really knows anything yet, but it sounds like most of the children here have gone missing. It's not just, I don't know.
All of the children have gone missing?
Just about.
That's a lot. That's kind of...
Following Riala's train of thinking, could Jokal like hop up on a barrel, or is there something tall nearby that he can use to even further his already tall height to get like a view over the...
Yes. So if to the left of the entrance to the Wyvern's Tail, there actually is a stone step that leads to a residence door that's up above. So if Joko wanted, he could go up those steps, and there's like a little balcony that he could look over and see.
Yeah, he's going to climb up there and see. Basically, his goal is to get above the crowd and see, like, obviously the everybody in this district is out, but are like the further districts down the city, are they all lit up with torches and people in the streets, or is it just our like centralized district? Do we see like if there's a castle or something further down the city, are all the streets lighting up, or is it just contained?
Yep. So as Jokul gets up to that balcony, he is able to see. This is one of the taller buildings in this particular district. So as he gets up to the top, he can look over and he can see that, all right, that district over there, there is a commotion going on there. There's noise coming over here. On this district, lights are just starting to come on and noise is starting to erupt from over there. So it seems to not be contained in your district. And it seems as the morning is going on, that early morning is going on, is that more districts seem to be coming on and commotion starting there. Commotion, word of the day, folks.
So it seems like the whatever disappearances is sweeping the city, or it's just the city slowly waking up to discover.
The city is slowly waking up to the discovered. It is not yet light out per se. It's that really gray light of the just early morning. The sun hasn't even come up over the horizon.
And this is a port town in a mountain, so I'm imagining we're fairly foggy covered.
Yep.
Yeah, so he'll hop down off his perch and report this information to the group and like, hey, the city's slowly waking up. It seems to be the whole city. Everybody's missing, not just district or a set number of kids. It seems like the whole city.
What kind of ground is it? Like, is it dirt?
All the streets are cobblestone.
That's shitty. Okay.
That's shitty.
I was gonna like look for like tiny little footprints, like it would have been sort of the stampede of tiny little feet, but no tiny feet. Okay.
I bet it was the fairies.
Joko will just look confused and be like, "You have that many fairies running around out here?"
You don't know?
Fairies aren't terribly common where we're from.
Well, no, I don't know if they're common anywhere, but my Winnie used to tell me stories about fairies that would, when little kids didn't want to do their schoolwork and were distracted by toys and games and things, the fairies would use fun treats and things to lure them out of their homes and kidnap them, and take them to the Feywild and eat them. Maybe that's what happened.
That sounds ghastly.
I don't know.
That's why I always did my schoolwork.
That's terrible to tell a child.
Out of curiosity, has 8 ever read anything in their studies or in the books that were in the libraries at their master's archives that mentioned any kind of disappearances like this?
Make an intelligence check for me. Because I'm going to be basing it off of your memory and not really history or arcana this time around.
I've got an 11.
Eight does not recall anything about a large disappearance of this scale. 8 does recall a fairy tale of sorts, a myth, if you will, of a deity that once made an entire country disappear on a whim because they angered him.
What was the name of that god?
That 8 does not remember.
Oh, I seem to recall a story that I read once in a book about a vengeful deity that cursed an entire civilization, banished its citizens, and cast them out, making them vanish. Similar to this, but
Why?
why does a god do anything? In the story, it was because the people of the country had angered them. So in return, the spiteful god made them vanish for their transgressions.
Do you think all the lanterns upset a god? Maybe they all flew up and landed in their home, and they were mad about that.
But the lanterns were pretty. You'd think that that would have been welcomed by the god.
Well, maybe if you're a grumpy god, you don't like pretty things. You like ugly things, and so if someone sends a bunch of pretty things to you, you wouldn't like that, so you would steal their children.
I suppose that makes sense.
Should we tell the guards that the god stole the children?
I do
Probably
not...
not. Before we jump to that conclusion, I think perhaps we should do a little bit more investigating.
Why?
It seems we've already solved the mystery.
I
think we need more information.
But
Myths and fairy tales hardly improve the situation at the moment.
Agreed.
I know they weren't taken by fairies, but I also know that I'm not a guard, or a person who works for the city, or a parent whose child's gone missing. And why do we need to go investigate? I feel like we just get in the way.
I think that if we wait and see what help we might be able to offer, when it's requested, we may be able to assist without being in the way.
I agree with that.
I'd be okay helping. I like helping people, but yeah, I don't think we should. I don't want to stick my nose in places where it's not wanted.
At
would
that,
require
you
your
hear
face
the
to be
gong.
close to the a gong? I trail off. Sorry.
Go. At that, you hear the sound of the gong that you heard yesterday when it announced the start of the festival. That it is now rung in quick succession 3 times, and many of the people either they lower their voices or they go silent completely, and they look around and they start heading towards the marketplace.
What's happening?
This is quite strange. Is the festival starting?
I thought the festival was yesterday. Didn't we already have it?
No, yesterday was the pre-festival festival.
Do all the civilians just kind of stop what they're doing and head that way, like they've been magically charmed, like, or are they just like, oh, we got to go that way?
They are moving at a nice clip. Like, they obviously know that particular sounding of the gong means something important is happening, so they're heading to the marketplace to see what's going on.
Should we perhaps follow the locals?
That seems like the most helpful thing we can do at the moment.
We follow the crowd.
I'm gonna stick very close behind Riala. Not uncomfortably close, but I'm just gonna stick close to her as we go.
All right. So you're not, as you move back out of the tavern and back into the crowd, you're not really walking so much as you're being pushed. Everybody is headed in one direction with a single purpose to find out what's going on, and you are essentially being carried by this crowd.
I would have moved Tate.
As soon as
I would have let Tate come in front of me and moved closer to Jokul and tried to keep everyone I would probably make sure 8 is close by too.
Kind of boxing in and touching each other to make sure nobody gets left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're bodyguard formation around Tate now. Just Riala to the left, Jokul to the right, 8 behind.
Yep.
As I'm getting jostled by the people in the crowd, as I bump into them, I'm like, "Hello, I am 8. Do you know where we're going?"
Oh, pat.
I'm just picturing him bumping into the same person 2-3 times, and he keeps getting the same speech, just like a vendor you click in a video game. Just click.
Gonna keep
I have
asking.
to learn not to laugh. Oh my god. Okay. So as you get farther down the street and you get to the stairway entrance that leads down to the marketplace, the crowd doesn't push as much. You are able to actually go down the stairs by yourselves. But you can see in the marketplace that a crowd has already formed around a dais that has been half constructed. There are some ribbons, there are some beams that are partially done. It looks like it had been intended for the festival this coming morning, but was not completed due to the situation.
Are there any trees in this marketplace? Or just
Oh, it's all just stone. Yeah, there's no greenery. Well, and I shouldn't say isn't any greenery. There are a couple of hanging flower pots that are near some of the shop entrances, but that's about it.
How are the shops just single-story shops?
There are a couple that are multiple stories, and each one of those has the stone steps leading up with a mini balcony, kind of like what Jokul was standing on in your...
I want to find one that is only a single story, but isn't too far away from the dais, and I want to try to climb up to the top of it to have a better view.
I was going to say,
Okay.
Jokul would kind of do the same thing. He'd keep an eye out for another vacant set of stairs that we could kind of occupy as a group to get above the crowd, but not be too distant from the dais. With just out of the main foot traffic.
The marketplace is not as crowded yet, so you are able to find a platform kind of actually behind the dais. It's near the cartographer's shop. There is a much larger stair going up, and it actually leads into a separate district to the eastern side of the city. And there is a wide open, I guess mezzanine would be a best descriptor for it. So it's a very wide platform where you could stand against a railing and be able to see and hear the whatever is going to be happening pretty well and have a good vantage point.
Jokul will point this out too.
Roof. We go up there, but then I want to go up. Roof, please.
You're gonna have to make a dex check for me.
Just dexterity, not athletics or acrobatics.
Yeah, go ahead with athletic.
I know, because I'm so athletic. My wizard.
I was gonna say if.
Well, okay. Tate, you nimbly climb up the side of that building, and you perch on the roof with your little feet dangling down, and you're just hanging up.
I mean, I have been climbing trees and things in the last month or so.
Little feet
Little feet dangling.
Once I get up there, I'm gonna take my hat off and put it next to me.
Tate and
Hi. Wave down at them.
Go ahead.
Tate and Jokal are up there, or just Tate?
Jokel's probably at the back of the platform, so anybody shorter than him can get a better vantage because he doesn't really need to be the tall.
Aw, considerate of the short people. Thank you. I hate when tall people stand in front of me.
I mean, he's hung out with Riala long enough. Like, oh yeah, I've got like a height on her. I should be over here.
Best elf husband.
Not yet. All right.
Okay.
Patience. All right. So you all are on the balcony, and Tate is hanging up on the roof. All right. So you're able to see the crowds really coming in, and it doesn't take long before the wide open marketplace is packed with people, and you can see people standing on the stairway that you came from, and there are people coming in from this district over here, and they're coming down the stairway. Basically, everybody that can possibly get a vantage point does, and everybody else you can hear talking behind you for the people that can't see, like, what's going on? What's going on? Have they said anything yet?
Here, you can take my spot. I am taller, so I will stand behind you, friends. I'm just kind of gradually shifting back as more and more people want to see what's happening.
Back again. And back more.
Once the area has filled with people, you hear some horns blowing, and from the district behind you, you hear people start to shuffle and adjust, and there are guards coming your way. In the early morning light, their armor looks a little dull, but you can tell that it is ornately carved, and there are metal attachments that are very sharp looking, and they look very dangerous, and they are draped from head to toe in metal. And as they come through, they are followed by a person in a dark black cloak, hood drawn up so that you can't see their face. But everyone moves aside and lets the guards and this person through. You see them walk down the stairs in front of you, and the guards lead this person to the half-constructed dais, and once that person is standing at the podium, each guard takes a position, there are 4 of them, on each corner around that individual, and they each face a separate way. The person removes their cloak, and it is a older woman, probably in her 40s. She has very dark brown hair and olive-colored skin, and she wears a very simple brown dress. And she stands facing the south, so facing the sea. And she waits until the crowd hushes and comes to an almost complete quiet.
I'm gonna take out my it's not a sketchbook, it's my wizard spellbook, but I draw in it. I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna start drawing her in fancy dresses and just like things.
Okay.
Just as she talks. She's very pretty.
From what you can see, even from your vantage point, it's difficult to get some details on the face, but
she's very pretty.
I appreciate that, Tate. She's pretty. God damn it. All right. So she stands there and she clasps her hands in front of her and calls out in a very deep voice. To those of you who do not know me, I am the Lady Benjamina of the city of Saleen. I rule here, just as my father, the Lord Aaron, did before me. I would like to first offer my condolences to all of the families affected. I suffer alongside you, whether you are one of my citizens or a visitor to this city for the Festival of Aram. Every child missing is a priority, regardless of who you are or where you come from. I also want you to know that the guards of this city are working diligently as we speak to gather what information we can. I would invite anyone willing to assist us to come to my manor. I will give you until midday to come forth with any information. I know many of you do not live close to this city and have made a long, arduous trek to come here. Come to my manor if you cannot stay in Saleen until your child is found. I will ensure arrangements are made to keep you informed and to return your child to you. Then, she puts her cloak back up. The guards turn, lead her down the back stairway, and they take her back through, past you, and back the way she came. Once she is out of sight, that is when the crowd starts to talk. You hear the people behind you first informing everyone that couldn't see her. Did you hear? Did you hear? Lady Benjamina says that she's looking for information. And you can hear that people are spreading the word beyond you. And all the people that you can see are now talking in amongst each other. You can hear the people near you whispering, "What does this mean? Are all the children of the city gone? What about the little Marcus? Did he go too?"
She said if... Was she only asking for people who had information to go to her manor, or was it like if anyone wants to help, come to the manor?
If anyone wants to help.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure.
I'm gonna lean over the roof towards the person we just heard talking. Who's little Marcus?
The woman that had said that first looks around, and then she looks
I'm
up.
up here.
Oh,
Hi.
what are you doing up there, child?
I'm short. I wanted to be able to see.
Well, you should get down immediately. You'll hurt yourself. The little Marcus is Lady Benjamina's son.
Thought so. Tate doesn't say that. That's just Anderson as a player. But yeah.
That was your out-of-game comment?
Yeah. Oh, so maybe her kid went missing too?
She did say she
I
suffers.
would guess so.
She did say that.
Just hurry on and get down. You're making me nervous.
I'm just gonna scoot back away from the edge and away from this woman. Stay on the roof.
Can't be in trouble if you can't see me.
What are you talking about?
I look at the woman. He is very free-willed, but quite safe.
Tate, they haven't even known you 24 hours and already Ate thinks of you as free. What an impression.
Not free will, just a teenager on a road trip.
Yeah, he's got free will. I turn to look at the other two. Riala, what would you have us do? What do you think?
Personally, I would want to help, but I think we should all come to a decision together and go from there. I'll look over at Jogel and what do you think?
She requested anybody with information rally at their estate, so we'll do as requested, and if we can assist in whatever happened to the children, we will see about doing so.
I think I would like to go inside until the morning. All of this chaos and sorrow is making me feel drained.
How far is Tate?
Just up on the roof above you guys.
Okay, just
You
above
kind
us.
of see I've switched to my stomach and I'm crossed arms with my head resting on it, just kind of looking down over you.
What's about you, Tate?
Well, I like helping people, or I want to help people. So, and they asked for help, so it's not like we're being intrusive in people's business. They want people to come help, so we could go to her manor tomorrow, and I don't know how much help I could be, but
Never hurts to ask. Okay, so we could head back to the tavern and rest up and head over to the manor in the morning.
how close are we to morning?
At this point, the sun is starting to come up over the horizon. What once was that very gray early light has, by this point, progressed and is starting to get just that orange glow of dawn.
If it's okay with you, I'm gonna stay up here, and it's really pretty, and so I'm just gonna hang out here for a little while.
Okay. Do be careful getting down, though. You got up there very easily. I'm not too worried, but like a
I have
little.
tricks up my sleeve. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna kind of scoot back. Is there a chimney on this roof or anything like that, or is it just roof?
Nope, there's a chimney.
I'm gonna go scooch and lean back against the chimney and take out some of my colored stuff and start to color the picture of Lady Benjamina in a fancy dress, sort of the same colors.
Inside the lines, right?
Yes, inside the lines. I want to color her dress in sunrise colors as I'm watching the sun come up.
That's so wholesome.
I know.
My heart is so warm and full.
Hey, shout out to Party Wipe Games. Thanks for the follow.
Party Wipe Games! Ah!
Is it cold out this morning? I lean in and ask the other two. I can't tell. Is it cold this morning?
Let's just pretend that I'm going to answer for them. So it is a little chilly. You are on a city that stands right at the edge of the ocean. And even though it is essentially what would be June in our world, it's much cooler here. You are close to the mountains, so it is slightly foggy. There is a little bit of a chill on the air. So let's just pretend that Rial and Joku shared that with you.
I just yell up, Tate, do be careful not to catch cold. I am told it is quite chilly.
Thank you! I'm fine!
I've done my part. Well,
I don't know if
I'd like to head back to the Wyvern's
tail.
tail.
All right, so you're going to head back to the tavern for a little bit?
I keep wanting to say nest.
That'd be fun to sleep in a wyvern's nest.
I don't know if I'm tired anymore.
Would you perhaps like something to eat?
Not at the moment, but thank you for the offer.
What about your companion? Joko, are you tired or hungry?
Tired? No. Hungry? I could eat.
Well, there we go. The two of us will go to the tavern and eat.
Okay.
I mean, well, we'll eat. There's food for Riala as well, but, you know.
I'll follow them.
I'm going to eat a kerfuffle on the roof.
Of course you are.
If only we were naming our episodes, we could call this episode Kerfuffle on the Roof.
Oh my god.
Well, when the video is edited and uploaded, we'll see.
All right, so you guys are heading back to the Wyvern's Tail. The crowd hasn't really dissipated that much. A couple of people, after hearing what Lady Benjamina had to say, either left, or you can see some parents, and you can tell they're the parents because they're crying. Many of them have that puffy red face that you look like after you've been sobbing for a while. They are slowly shuffling back to their homes. But other than that, most of the crowd is actually standing around talking. There are people that are discussing what's going to happen. There are people asking, does anybody know what happened? And so it does take you a little while to meander through the crowd and get back to the tavern. By the time you do, Craig has started cleaning, and you can smell fresh baked bread, and you can smell something smells like eggs.
Perhaps he is cooking eggs.
As you come through the door, he's standing there wiping the bar, and he just stops and says, well, so I'm guessing you went out and checked out that whole mess, huh?
Yeah.
Do they know anything?
Does not seem like it. They have guards investigating, but no information as of yet. But it seems most, if not all, of the children in the city are missing.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I haven't gone out to see if any of my friends' kids are gone and included in that mix. I'll wait till the city settles down. Besides, they wouldn't want me barging in and checking to see what's going on right this moment anyway. They need to gather their thoughts if they've been affected.
That is wise.
Can I get you anything?
I'll have a tea if that's available.
Yeah, I can get some tea for you. What about you two?
Tea sounds lovely.
And 2 breakfasts, please.
All right. I'll be back with the tea, and then I'll get the breakfast coming up. He heads into the back of the tavern, and in a few moments comes out with 2 large mugs of hot, steaming water. And he reaches down under the bar, and he pulls out a little wooden box. He sets it in front of you. And he reaches down again, and he pulls out a little strainer. And he holds it up and says, I've only got one of these, because very few people ask for tea. But the good news is I only have one type of tea available, so sharing shouldn't be an issue. And he hands it to Riala. And then he heads to the back. And within a moment or two, you can smell bacon cooking as well.
While we're sitting and waiting, I'm gonna hold on to my holy symbol, and I'm gonna close my eyes and say a prayer to myself, just for the kids and their safe return.
Okay.
When the sun finally rises and is no longer coming up, I will make my way back to the tavern.
Tate, when you arrive at the tavern, Jokel, 8, and Riala are sitting at the bar, and you can see Craig coming out with 2 plates of food, each with a large hunk of fresh baked bread, some bacon, some sausage, and a pile of eggs. He stands there at the bar and says, who's having the breakfast? There were only 2 ordered, but there's 3 of you.
I will, and so will my friend, and I point at Jokel with my hand.
All right. And puts the plate in front of both of you, and he waves to Tate. Morning, little master.
And good morning.
Is there anything I can get for you this morning?
No, I already had breakfast, but thank you. I want to go sit at the bar right next to Jokel, if there's a seat there.
Yeah, there's still room.
How is Jokel sitting? Just out of curiosity.
Just like how so? What are you trying to ask for the question? Like,
Tate's gonna try to mimic your posture and pose. Just awkwardly try to sit up however you're sitting, and your arms are cross his arms, or sort of.
he's probably sitting there like the kind of grumpy older guy at like an old Western bar. He's just like got his chin in his hand, probably his drink in his other hand, and just kind of staring at the plate in front of him like,
I'm just gonna mimic him. And if he shifts, just kind of watch.
I suppose I don't need to roll perception to notice that, or is it
I'm not
subtle?
going to make you roll for that one.
I'm not hiding that I'm doing it.
Well, let's give it to you this way, Jokel. Every time that you move, you see the body next to you move, and you can turn your head. So I'm not going to make you roll.
No, like he'd keep it subtle. He'd just be like, "Oh, we're playing this game." And making the most of like having realized this is what Tate was doing, Joker will look at the plate of food in front of him and then just smile and just start eating the food to see how Tate like mirrors him despite not having a plate of food.
At that point, 8 starts eating at the same rate as you, like looking and watching as you eat. Just had not touched the food until you specifically started eating, and is eating the same items from the plate as you start eating them.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
So you
I
got
can't.
8 on one side mimicking you eating, and Tate on the other side mimicking your
Just
posture.
synchronized eating.
I'm deceased.
Shoveling some of the eggs in my mouth. This food is quite good, isn't it? And like the eggs are dribbling out over the jaw plate.
I'm gonna stop mimicking Jokel as I notice, and
Nothing like good food to nourish our bodies, yes?
8. Do you have a handkerchief or something that you could you've
Is
got a
there-
little something on your face and shirts and on the floor and
Oh my, this must be what Mother meant by not speaking with one's mouth full.
yes, no, that's very good table manners. Here. We'll have a handkerchief. It's a nice handkerchief. It's pretty nice quality and sort of embroidered on the edges. You can keep that.
Thank you,
Use
friend.
it to, yeah. No, just no, over just yeah, you got it.
I like how when you were miming that he's got food on his face, you did like this mustache, and I'm like, 8, do you have a mustache?
Milk mustache.
This food is refreshing. Craig, you should open an establishment simply for breakfast.
He chuckles a little bit and says, well, thank you. My cousin does all the cooking. I'll tell him you appreciate it. And with that, he turns to Tate and says, are you sure I can't get you anything, little one? Like maybe some warm tea or some milk or...
No, I'm good.
Hot chocolate?
What?
Have you ever had hot chocolate?
What's hot chocolate?
All right, I'll be back. And he leaves to go to the back. And he's gone for a little bit, and he comes back with a mug, a little smaller than what he gave Rial and Jokul. And he places it in front of you. And inside is basically liquid chocolate. And it's just got a little bit of steam drifting up.
Why would you melt?
Taste it. As you taste it, it's not hot, but it is very warm. And the chocolate coats the tongue and goes down your throat very slowly, and you just get this nice warming sensation filling your body. And then at the very end, you get this little hint of heat, but not an unpleasant heat. It blends very well with the sweetness of the chocolate.
Every think that you were going to say like hazelnut or something, and that scares the crap out of me because my best friend is deathly allergic. I was like, Tate, no! But it's fine. I don't think he has an allergy.
Tate blows up like a balloon.
This is good, but what's wrong?
I forgot I'm allergic to chocolate.
Stop. No.
He's
No.
in trouble. That's Thank you. How much for the cup?
This one's on the house.
No. How much?
No. You can't come to Saleen and not have a cup of hot chocolate. And for your first one, I'll give this to you on the house. And you try to give me anything for it, little one. You'll hear about it later.
When he's not looking, I'm gonna put a gold coin under the mug.
I have a feeling that will be your signature.
Need to pay him. He's nice to me. Just gonna sit quietly and drink my hot
That
chocolate.
sounds terrible out of context, Anders. I'm just going to put that one out there.
This is fine.
All right. So, Jokul finishes his breakfast, I assume. He and Riala finish their tea. Tate sips his hot chocolate, and Eight
Has left the
Eight does
same
Eight.
amount of food on his plate as Jokul didn't finish.
Where does the rest of the food go? Like, is it all over the floor?
Are you asking this in game or in character?
This is out of character. Is there like food everywhere now, like on the floor?
Yeah, if you can't swallow it, where's it going? Or
Well,
is it just like sitting?
I
It's
don't
like,
I don't
I got the
necessarily
impression
think that he can't swallow it. I just think that he gains nothing from that they gain nothing from eating it in general. So
I'm still
I don't know.
gonna just a little prestidigitation to clean 8 up when 8's done. Just around.
That's very sweet of you.
Why, thank you. I can't really tell if I smell or not, so
And
I appreciate the assistance.
it's just it's good manners to not have food on your face when you're talking to people. So, sorry. Drink my hot chocolate.
I will need to practice eating more.
So you guys hang out at the bar, I'm guessing, for a little while, probably just talking, relaxing, eating, contemplating, I would assume.
We're here for a little bit. I'm gonna get out. No, never mind. Scratch.
Save it.
is there anyone else in the tavern?
There were a couple people that did come down from the rooms upstairs. As you sat at the bar and ate your breakfast, they took their coffee, their breakfast, and they sat at some of the corner booths farther away, whispering amongst each other. There were a couple people that came in off the streets, so probably people that stayed here but ended up leaving in the mid-morning like you, or the early morning like you did. And they do the same. They take a table far away from everyone else. But the tavern is nowhere near as busy as it was yesterday when you first arrived.
Right. Okay. Just curious. After everyone finishes eating, did we decide if we'll head to the manor and see if they need us? Or what we're doing?
Perhaps.
I think we.
Sorry. Go for it.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Perhaps the bartender might know where we should look to go.
Are you asking? In-game, I should say?
I just kind of say, perhaps Craig knows the way to this Benjamina's manor. And I turn and look.
Craig! Craig!
I wave.
Get his attention. Where are you?
He looks over at you. Yes? And he walks back over to where you all are sitting and says, What can I get?
We are hoping you might know the way to Benjamina's manor.
Oh, Lady Benjamina. I'm guessing she must have made an announcement while you all were out there, huh?
We would like to help.
She's very pretty.
You should have seen her 20 years ago. That was a beauty. Not that she's not
She's
pretty
pretty
now, but she was radiant then. You want to imagine an angel that came down from the heavens and walked the earth? That was Lady Benjamina. Now she's got a very stately look to her. She's moved into her role quite nicely over these years. But you didn't come to ask my opinion of her beauty. You came to ask how to get to her manor. You know the marketplace, yes?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember the stairwell that's opposite of the one you come up to come here? Go up that stairwell and just follow the road straight until you hit the easternmost side of the city. You can't miss her manor.
Does it have any distinct features?
It's the biggest house in the district. You can't miss it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get you anything else while I'm over here?
No, I think we're okay for right now. But thank you so much.
All right. Well, when you're done, just leave the plates. I'll collect them. He goes off to the back corner where one of the patrons has waved him over. At this point, it's probably 8 o'clock in the morning, and you can see it's nice and bright outside. Definitely full daylight.
It's funny he called Benjamina an angel, because when I was drawing her earlier, I gave her angel. I'm
Aww.
gonna show them my wizard book with my sketch of pretty dresses for the lady, which does actually include winks, because that's what I was thinking about.
Aw.
That is coincidental.
That's very good, Tate. You're quite talented.
She was very pretty. She deserves a pretty dress. What? You're also very pretty, Riella. I don't mean to say. Do you want me to draw you in a pretty dress, or another pretty dress? Because you're already wearing a really nice dress.
No, that's okay, Tate. I was just telling you that you're very talented, and it's very sweet of you.
Thanks.
And we head in the direction that we were pointed. We probably form a barricade around Tate again because he's precious and we love him. After 2 days, a day.
If anyone's walking behind me, they can't see because there's a hat in their face.
I'm meandering close by, but just kind of still looking at all the things that I'm seeing with half wonder, half amazement, half something else. And I know that's 3 halves.
That's a lot of halves.
Robots can't do math. Wait, no,
I'm not a robot.
That's not right. That's true. Not a robot.
I was going to say, can 8 even clap, or does he just kind of make clangy noises?
I've got kind of sinewy palms. I'm sure I can slap them together to make something.
It was just a random thought. I was like,
Could always just do the ASL clap.
All right, so you guys are heading out the door, and all right. So by now, the crowds have dissipated. There are still people in the streets, but it is a much more somber tone compared to yesterday. There's no music playing in the streets. There are no vendors selling foodstuffs or other goods for that matter. The shops, as you get to the marketplace, are still there, the little traveling stalls, but they're not inhabited. It looks like an abandoned market. and people that are around are whispering to each other. They're talking. You can tell there's this air of sobriety and despair. You get up the stairs on the eastern side of the city and you follow it up, and you go down a road not unlike the one you followed on your side of the city. And you see a few offshoot streets every now and then, but the homes on this side are not as compact as they were on the other side. They are a little larger. There's fewer doors leading into the same building. As you get further and further down the street, the exteriors become more ornate, more sometimes garish. And by the time you reach the end of the road, they've actually spread out so that there's more green space near each house. And at the very end, you find a very large manor, all whitewashed stone, but a red clay-tiled roof, lots of windows lit up from the inside and iron bars decorating the exterior as faux balconies. Outside the windows, the door itself is a large wooden door with wrought iron handles, and two of the ornately dressed guards standing at the door. There is a group of people outside of the door, standing in line, leading down the walkway and out into the street a little bit. Some are twisting uncomfortably, others are crying, and others are just standing there as if they were waiting in line at a vendor for the festival, just staring around.
Before we get any closer, Tate has spent quite a bit of time learning how to behave and speak in this particular type of company. Are there any things I know about, how to address the lady, the proper honorifics, or greeting, those sorts of things?
Well, let's put it this way. She's called Lady Benjamina, but you haven't learned yet if she really is a lady in the sense that you might know her as, or if it's more of an honorific title and nothing more than that. So you could always go with caution. Overabundance in manners never hurts, but a lack thereof could be disastrous. But I think you've had enough experience dealing with varying types of people at this point that you could adjust as necessary.
Okay.
So I guess we just join the line and stand with the other people.
Yep.
Okay. The line sometimes moves quickly, other times it doesn't. Depends on who's going in. You do notice when a grieving couple walks in, takes longer than somebody who goes in by themselves. Within
look like most of the people are here because they're missing a child or here to help? Like
it's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some people are grieving, very visibly grieving. Others are standing quite still. And like I said, they're looking like they probably don't belong. So you imagine that they either have information or they're there to assist.
Do the guards say anything to us as we just kind of join in the line, or are they just doing nothing more than watching people as they come towards the door?
They're there to just watch and make sure things don't get out of hand. You do see as you get closer that when it's time for the next person to go in, someone from the inside will open the door and beckon those people in. When it is your turn, you see the door open, and the young guard that actually escorted you to your tavern yesterday is the one that opens the door. And he sees you and he says, "Oh, sorry, I recognize you from yesterday. Are you here to see the Lady Benjamina?" And he stands up a little straighter and doesn't really look at you. He kind of looks ahead as he says this.
Yes, we're here to offer help if it is needed.
Yes, please come in. He steps aside and he sweeps his hand to allow you into the foyer.
And we walk inside.
As you enter, he shuts the door, and you are standing in a grand foyer. There are 2 stairways that lead up to the second floor, and the floor is all polished marble. And there are standing candelabra throughout the foyer. There are pieces of artwork, standing sculptures. And the young guard says, please come this way. The study is over here. And he leads you to the right of the foyer into a grand archway, and he leads you through a parlor full of plush furniture and brightly colored fabrics and gilded frames and mirrors. And through the parlor, he leads you to a oak door at the end of the room. And with that, we're just going to take a 5 to 8 minute break, let people use the restroom, grab something to drink. So if you are watching at home, please feel free to get up and stretch your legs, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right, welcome back. So the party has just entered Lady Benjamina's manor, and they have made their way to the study. And the young guard that is with them turns to them and says, "All right, so just fair warning, Lady Benjamina's in there. There's going to be Captain Keelan and Basil. Basil is the let's see if I can remember. Basil is the head of the council. Sorry, it's my only second round of people this morning. I'm the second shift.
You're doing great.
Thanks. All the crowds make me nervous. I can't wait for this festival to be over with. Okay, so Basil is the head of the council. So just so you know who you're talking to when you come in, since I know you guys aren't from here. So, yeah, and with that, he does a quick rap at the door, and you hear a deep voice say, "Come on in." And he opens the door, and he stands aside to let you in.
I kind of lean in to whoever's nearest to me. I say, "I do not know what the council means."
Jokel, go first.
If Jokel is being nudged forward, Jokel takes the point, I guess.
So Jokel walks in, and you see, the first thing you see is a very large wooden desk, and seated at that desk is Lady Benjamina. To her left is an older gentleman in a storm gray full cloak and tunic, and on the other side of her is the guard you befriended when you arrived at the city.
Sorry, I just eye rolled really hard.
Yeah, you did. All 3 of them look up as you walk through the door, and you see the captain's face darken a little bit. He holds his composure pretty well, but his composure, he definitely darkens a little bit in the face and looks a little irritated.
Assuming she's basically at this point, we can assume she's some sort of like council member or royalty of the city. So Joko will do his best little like bow.
I'm going to left foot behind right and little head nod, half nod, just a nod.
I want to give a polite bow.
I notice everyone else do it and just kind of mimic a rigid bow and say, I am 8.
Lady Benjamin looks up and says, well, come on in. 8, it is a pleasure to meet you. And I'm sorry, the rest of you didn't give your names.
My apologies, my lady. My name is Tate Jones, and we're here to offer our services to assist you in this matter of grave importance for your city. Bow again.
She
Stand up
tilts
very
her head.
pressure.
And she looks over at the old man. And she looks over at Captain Keelan. And she looks back at you and says, well, take a seat. And there are a couple of high-backed wooden chairs. There are a couple of lounging couches around, so you are able to make your choice.
Chair.
What's the setup? Like, how far? I probably want to.
So, not a problem. So, you walk through the door, and like 5 feet ahead of you is the desk. And there's a couch, a lounging couch to your right, or your left, and then there's a couple of high back chairs to your right. And all around the walls are nothing but bookshelves. Everything is facing this desk.
And how many chairs are there?
2 chairs, one of which has been occupied by Tate.
Okay, Riala and Joko will probably go sit on the couch.
Yes.
Jokul, you're being shoved into the room and then dragged to the couch.
If nothing else, he's just leaning on like the armrest of the.
I feel like I want to stand awkwardly behind Tate in the chair.
Okay.
Sit very straight back, crossed at the ankles. Realize I'm crossing my feet at the ankles and uncross them.
Lady Benjamina sits up a little bit more in her chair, and she crosses her hands in front of her, kind of puts her fists at her face, and then she puts her hands back down and says, all right. So, how do you propose to help? We know very little right now. Other than the consensus seems to be from the citizens that nothing was heard, nothing was seen. People just went into their children's bedrooms and they were gone. And the only other commonality seems to be that it was children 15 and younger. Do you have any further information that might be of assistance?
I lean down to Tate. Do we bring up the lanterns now? Or later?
Later? Milady, if I may inquire, has every child under the age of 15 disappeared? No one has mentioned that their child was not missing?
The only people that have reported that their children are not gone are the ones that are what we in this area call the age of majority, which would be 16.
Is it both the male and female children?
Yes.
Was it limited to human children?
No, it seems every person, whether they are a citizen or a visitor to Saleen, were affected.
I don't mean to be impolite, milady, but you have a son.
I do.
Is he also missing?
See, now that is the strange thing. Marcus seems to be the only child that we know of that had any indication of something being left behind. Captain Keelan, would you hand it to me? And Keelan stands up and he walks over to one of the side tables, but he doesn't take his eyes off of any of you. And he grabs something off the table and he brings it to her and places it in her hand. And he stands up very straight and he crosses his arms. And he just constantly scans from one side of the room to the other. And the Lady Benjamina toys with the thing in her hand and says, "This was left on his pillow, and we have not heard yet of anyone else having something like this left behind. It is a chip, and painted on the chip is what looks like a vine with silver thorns. But it means nothing to any of us. Does it mean anything to you?"
Are they offering it out to us so we can actually handle it and investigate it?
She's kind of toying with it in her hands, not really flipping it, but just rubbing it and moving it back and forth. She hasn't really extended her hand for your closer look.
Might I
We were
ask,
given.
what is that token made of?
It seems to be made of wood.
She said it was a vine and a thorn.
Silver thorn.
May we see it?
Well, yes. She gives it to Captain Keelan, and he takes it, and he glares a little bit at Tate, and glares a little bit at 8.
I smile.
And he hands the chip to Riala and stands there waiting for you to give it back.
Milady, we were given a chip yesterday in the city during the festival. Not painted like that, but of a similar size, I think.
Riala,
it
may I
belonged
hold
to-
it?
Belonged to a fortune teller.
Let me guess. The Ravani?
Yes, my lady.
Well, the Ravani, well, at least the one group of them has lived here for as long as I have. They like to keep to their corner, and they tend to only come out when the festival is around. They tend to make more coin that way.
Have there been any reports of Ravani children going missing?
Yes, they were affected as well.
Perhaps that's not a lead. My apologies.
No, any questions, any information or thoughts you may have are more than welcome. We, as I said, don't know much. My guards have been coming in with varying pieces of information, but they all seem to have similar connections.
I stare down at the token for a minute and the silver thorn, and then I let 8 look at it.
Thank you, my
Captain
dear.
Keelan shifts a little closer to 8 and now hovers and stares down at that.
If I may, would you begrudge me the opportunity to sit and channel for a few minutes?
Well, I suppose. And with that, Captain Keelan says, "Nope, my lady, this rebel wouldn't give me any last names yesterday."
That is
Sir,
not
it's
correct.
very impolite to interrupt the lady.
We are the Jones family. You know this.
Captain Keelan, it's all right. Let the Warforged do as they wish.
My name is 8.
I don't think there's anything that we can glean.
My lady.
Let 8 do as they wish. There doesn't seem anything else we can glean from this wooden chip any more than we already have.
Is
What harm could they do?
I would like
This-
to... Sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Nope, you first. Mine's boring.
No, it's not boring. 8 is wonderful. This might be an odd question, but is there an island nearby?
Well, not near. There are several islands to the east of us, but they are a few days' travel away. Why do you ask?
Just curious is all.
It's an odd thing to be curious about, but from my understanding, and with that she gives a look at Captain Keelan, you are new to this city, potentially new to the area itself.
Oh, we are. Yes, I'm sorry.
What is Basil doing?
He is just standing and watching. Every once in a while he'll make notes in a little ledger book on the desk, but for the most part he is just standing and watching the interaction. He'll stroke his beard every now and again.
I'd like to put the chip down on the floor, and I kind of stand over it and kind of flap my arms a little bit, kind of ready them, and my sleeves just kind of billow a little bit. And I'd like to spend some time preparing and casting an identify spell on this. And oh, I don't have those. Never mind. I don't have those components. I lied. I can't do anything. Cool.
Redacted?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how would you like to handle this since you put this chip on the floor? What do you intend to do with it now?
I still go through the motions of something that just came to me. And I attempt to channel this power that I feel kind of well up inside of me, and kind of instinctually, as I get going with this, I pull out the mask that I have on my hip, and I wear it on my face. It's just a large, ornate, burnished metal mask of an ibis beak, and as I complete the components of this incantation, I stand expectantly, and nothing happens. And I take the mask off. That's odd. I felt like this would have done something. I must consult my notes later. I must have forgotten something important. I look back up to the lady. I'm sorry, my lady, but it seems that I will be of no use at this current juncture.
She raises an eyebrow. She's not really convinced that you intended to do anything other than make a fool of yourself. Basil does a little harumph, kind of strokes his beard. And he leans in and he whispers something at Lady Benjamina. And while he does that, Captain Keeling grabs the wooden chip and returns to her side.
Just out of
Before
She
he-
says,
Was
Go ahead.
Was the chip the same size and weight as the one that the old lady had given us?
yes.
But it was painted different than the fortune teller chip, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
the fortune teller chip was red and white. It was a diamond, I think.
Milady, I don't know what my companion intended to do, but it has inspired a train of thought. I don't mean to presume, but perhaps if you have any official wizards on your in your court, or high-ranking magic users, perhaps they could identify this object or detect magic upon it, as I suspect my companion was attempting to do.
We unfortunately have already tried that. I have a few high-level magic users in my council, and they were the first ones I contacted. All they can tell me is that it's a wooden chip with simple painting.
Perhaps it's a rival clan to the Rafani?
Did going back to the off-camera thing that we did, the kid I saw in that room, did I see what he looked like?
You didn't see what she was talking about in that meeting. So no.
No, I saw the kid in the corner, the shadow in the corner.
Oh, yeah, no, not really. It wasn't very clear.
My lady, I have a question going in my mind that could perhaps lead to some form of way to further investigate. I don't have the answer. Perhaps it is more something that we think about together and come to perhaps a consensus as a group. But you said that no children of the age of maturity were taken. How old do you presume I am? If I were not sitting in front of you, which clearly tells you I'm of a certain age, how old would you think I am?
Well, that is an odd question, and I am not sure I see where that will lead us. But I
Humanly.
suppose she takes a moment and she stares at you. I would say probably 14. The age is my Marcus. Why do you ask?
I'm often mistaken as being younger than I am. I'm called a child and such things. And yet
At that
I was
comment,
not,
Keelan kind of.
and yet I was not taken. So whoever took these children or whatever caused them to vanish knew intrinsically their ages. It was not based on appearance. So there is some force of intelligence behind what happened.
She raises both of her eyebrows, looks at both of her companions, and says, "Now that is an interesting thought. And none of my highest paid council members came up with it."
I
That's
bring
very
it up
smart.
because I have known very intelligent people. And very intelligent people think they're smarter than they are, which makes them easy to trick.
Well, let me take a quick step back because I just realized I forgot to address something. James, when you asked that question about a rival clan, were you asking that in game to Lady Benjamina, or were you just asking in general?
I could see that one being an in-character question because Jokel would make the connection, have seen the fortune teller chip and the similarities. He'd draw this is going to be a different clan, same calling card, but different paint job.
Okay. Let's take a moment to rewind. And so when Jokel had asked that question, this is the first time that you hear Basil speak. And he chuckles a little bit and said, "The Rovani don't have plans. You must not have much dealing with them. They're traveling bards and merchants. They don't form tribes." And with that, Lady Benjamina waves her hand and says, "Let's not be rude to our guests, Basil." But he does bring up a good point. It is a good thought process, and I do appreciate the suggestion, but I have never heard of Rovani to make clans. But perhaps someone trying to frame them, since they know that wooden chips with a certain symbol painting usually is a calling card. It's a possibility.
Perhaps clan is long word, maybe factions, or maybe a rival family is that they were
Perhaps.
scalped by the Ravani and they're seeking to frame them, like you suggested.
Another good suggestion. She taps the book that Basil is writing in, and he adds a note. So now we're going to go back to present time. And she turns to all of you and says, "Being new to this city, you may have a different perspective than many of my citizens or my guards. Do you want to help find these children?
Yes.
Yes.
If it turns out that a journey is needed, would you be willing to make such a journey on our behalf?"
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Where are you staying?
The wyvern's tail?
All right.
Okay.
I know that we have a few hours yet before midday, and I know there are people that want to address concerns, and I have to give them the time allotted. So, what I will suggest is when midday comes, if you are still interested, come back to the manor, and we can work out some details with what we have learned since our meeting at this moment. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
All right. And she's going to lift up a little bell on her desk, and she's going to ring it. And the young guard that escorted you in opens up the door. And, Aaron, please bring in the next group. Our friends here will be coming back at midday. And he nods and says, all right, this way.
And we follow him out.
As you leave and the door is shutting, you hear Captain Keeling saying, I don't want them helping. They wouldn't follow the rules. I don't trust them to do as they're told. And then the door shuts and you hear no more.
Still charming.
Are we being led out by
Yes.
Aaron? Are there other guards around?
There are some guards in some nice livery, stationed here or there in the parlor and the foyer. Nobody in full armor, though, other than two that you saw outside.
I'm going to sort of stick my hand in one of my component pouches and just sort of lift it up and cough into my hand as I'm doing that, sort of twisting a bit of wire around my fingers. And I want to cast message to Basil.
All right.
I'd like to speak to you. If you have a moment to leave the lady's side, come outside. Just kind of fiddle with it as if it was just, a twitch or a quirk for a bit, and then eventually put it back in my pouch.
As you come to the front door, before Aaron can open it, you hear the quick shuffling of feet from behind you on the marble floors. And Aaron turns and sees Basil coming from the parlor.
That was fast.
And he says, hold it, Aaron. Just give me a moment with these people. Aaron nods his head and goes and stands on the other side of the foyer. And he looks, all right, which one of you did it?
I did.
He turns and looks at you.
Did what?
What? What is it that you couldn't say in front of them?
I'd be happy to say it in front of the lady, but not in front of the captain. That's why I asked you to
He's
come
a
out
little
here.
gruff, isn't he?
He's an asshole, if I'm honest. Excuse me, that was impolite.
Tate does not mince words.
Jokel's gonna smile at that.
Riala too.
All right. Well, what can I do for you?
Your ledger, have you been taking note on every meeting that the lady's taken this morning in that little book?
I don't see how that's any of your business, but yes.
I don't mean to sound overconfident in my skills, but I'm very smart. And perhaps if I had a chance to look through your book, I could detect some sort of puzzle or connection or pattern that perhaps in all these conversations you haven't had a chance to study and discover yourself. It would not take me very long.
Make a persuasion check.
Yep.
Go, Tate, go. Go, Tate, go. Go, Tate, go.
Persuasion. That's a 16.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Give him the puppy dog eyes.
Advantage. Kidding.
He straightens up a little bit. Says, well, I can't let you look at the ledger because got some personal information in there. But
I can keep a secret.
I can summarize I can summarize it without that personal information. I can let you look at the summary sheets, but I can't let you look at the ledger because there are things in there other than the meeting today.
Perhaps if you... I don't want you to destroy your lovely book, but perhaps if you, stayed with me and made sure I didn't flip back too far. I'm a visual person, you see, and if I don't get a chance to actually look at it myself, perhaps the patterns won't connect. Not the best at auditory learning, I've been told.
We'll see come midday.
Okay, well, thank you.
And he shuffles back to the office, the study.
Man, I hate people who work in the court. Elbows are awful. Sorry.
Aaron wanders back when he sees Basil walking away and opens the door to let you out.
Thank you, Aaron. We will be back in a few hours.
Yes. Next. Oh, yes, my dear Susie. Yes, Susie, come in. And you see a young woman who's crying walk through the door, and Aaron shuts it behind them. There still is quite a hefty line leading out the door, down her walkway, and into the street.
All of these people look so sad.
Well, most people would be sad if they lost their child.
So we have a few hours. Did you plan to go back to the tavern?
The books in her office gave me a thought, and I'd like to find perhaps a bookseller. I don't suppose many people are open today, many shops, but perhaps we could find a bookseller.
Maybe a public library.
Or a library. Public... What is a public library?
A library open to everybody?
That seems odd, that someone would have so many books and then allow just the regular folk to come in and peruse them.
Some libraries are
My mother's library was private.
Right, most libraries I know are private. They tend to have valuable knowledge in them. Most people don't want regular folk to come across.
one of the jobs that I had a long time ago. The library wasn't open to the public, so
Well,
there is something that I wanted to do. So
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's anything you guys want to do, now's the time to do it.
Poor Jokel, he suggests public library and everyone just shits all over him.
I think a public library sounds like a beautiful concept.
Keep in mind, he's the fighter. He's kind of useless in this situation.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
I just haven't seen a public library.
Me neither.
I want to head to the fortune teller, back to Ravani.
So you're going to head to the Ravani settlement?
Ranella.
Ranella, there you go.
was like, nope, that's not right. That sounds wrong. And
She
then
goes, I know it starts with a R.
It starts with an R. I want to go find Renella.
All right, so you're going to go see Ranella. Tate is going to go look for a bookseller or potentially a public library.
Well, I actually think I'll go with Riala. My thought was not so concrete, and that sounds like maybe perhaps a better lead.
We should probably all stick together, too, especially given the chip that was left behind.
We head to Renella.
Okay. So you head back down the street until you reach the stairway to the marketplace. You head down the stairway and you follow the wall until you're about midway and you see the archway that leads down into the back alley where the Ravani make their camp. I almost said the Ranella. This is my own fault for doing this to myself. You make your way down the back alley, which in the daytime is not much brighter because there still are very compact buildings, but it is still decently lit. There are lanterns, as there were last night. And you get to the end of the alleyway and you come to the courtyard where they have their carts and everything set up. And you see Ranella sitting on a stool, and she's working thread between some sticks, and she's weaving them in and out, not really paying attention to what else is going on.
I'm going to go sit right next to her and just study what she's doing.
Say that again?
I want to sit next to her and study what she's doing.
Okay. There are other Rovani milling about. Some are preparing breakfast. Others are playing cards. There's actually 2 men that are having a arm wrestling competition. And Ranella is just sitting there and she's weaving. It almost looks like knitting, like a scarf, but she is using much thicker tools as opposed to the thin sticks that you would normally use for knitting. And she doesn't look up, but she says, I see you are interested in my work, my child. What can I do for you today?
You're making a beautiful pattern there. I've not seen that technique before.
It is an old Ravani tradition. We make them for the new children coming into the world. My first grandchild will be arriving soon, and I am a little behind in making the blanket.
Will you show me how to do it?
She pauses and looks over at you and says, Yes, I can do that. My daughter was never interested in learning the craft, which is why I am making it now. So here. She reaches down into a cloth sack and she pulls out some yarn and she puts it in your lap. And then she reaches further down. She pulls out another set of the sticks and says, You must clip it in your head like this. And she wraps her hand. Now this thing is about as big as almost a thin dowel rod, but it comes to a point like a knitting utensil. And she says, You must clip it with your thumb up in the one. And then when you grab the other, you are actually going to hold it closer to the end and you are going to weave the two together. If you have done any knitting or any mending, this should come secondhand.
Just knitting?
Just watch me and you shall be able to imitate. And she just keeps going. And as she does, she looks up and as she's knitting, she sees Rial and she says, you are back, my child. And your companion, I see he returned too.
Jokul gives a wave hello.
Yes. You've heard what happened in the city?
Yes. It is most unfortunate.
We went to go speak with T. Benjamina, and they
When you said the name, she spit on the ground.
all the other children, there was no sign of what happened to them, but with Hassan, there was a token, the silver thorn.
She stops at that and looks up. A thorn? What kind of thorn?
Silver with a vine.
Well, she goes back to knitting. She doesn't say. And then suddenly she takes a heavy sigh. Do you remember, my child, yesterday when you came looking for your fortune?
Yes.
Do you remember what it is I told you?
Yes, but to what are you referring to?
I believe I told you that you must go find a silver thorn on a velvet pillow. No?
A silver thorn and what? Sorry.
On a velvet pillow.
On a velvet pillow. Okay, I can. Yes, that's why it struck me.
I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sitting there knitting. That's velvet is a very common material for pillows for those of wealth and status, like young Marcus.
The little boy is correct. You look confused, my child.
He's on the island.
At that, she stops and looks up. What are you talking about? What island?
You have to look for the young boy on the island.
I did not tell you that.
Shit. Right,
That is an odd statement to make. Do you intend to help this Lady Benjamina in her search?
we want to help find all the children.
It would be rude to turn our back on such a situation as this.
We want to help the children, not Lady Benjamina.
Let me get this straight. She puts her knitting down. She looks at each of you in turn. I have nothing against the Lady Benjamina. Her father was a good man. He was one of the first to allow the Ravani into Saleen without prosecution. Up until that point, we had always been shunned. We were thieves, brigands, nothing more. He accepted us into the city, gave us a nice place to procure our goods, perform our duties, let us walk around freely. the Lady Benjamina has done nothing less. It is her council members I do not trust. And I do not think that they do what is best for this city. That being said, there are plenty of children that have gone missing, including my daughter's youngest. Sorry, I'm going to have to redact that as a DM because I realized what I just said. Including my sister's daughter's youngest. The Ravani suffered just as much as everyone else. And I would be glad to see anybody that is willing to help all these strangers and their children. My concern is that they will not have come up with enough information for you before you set out on your journey. Because make no mistake, there will be a journey here. You will not be finding your answers in this city. The children have gone without a trace. There is nothing here. At least not in our corner of the city.
I lean into Riala. She is very negative.
Joko will elbow 8, but most likely just hurt himself in the process.
Clang.
Clank. Oh!
She keeps knitting. And she looks over what Tate is doing. No, 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 my dear. Turn your wrist like this. Yes, that is much better. Keep going like that.
Can I keep these knitting needles?
Yes, yes, of course. I can easily make some more.
I was actually going to ask one of the ones with big swords if they could make me some because I left mine at home. But thank you.
You are most welcome. If you ever finish it, you come back to show me your work.
I will.
Is there any reflective surface around?
Yes. So one of the carts that you see parked in the courtyard has a very large mirror hanging on the side of it. And there's kind of one of those foldable mini trays that you can attach to a wall, kind of standing up as like a lip to the...
Probably nothing dark and reflective, though.
Not at first glance. Something in particular you're looking for?
Something like a scrying mirror or a crystal ball.
How shiny
Well,
is
as
8?
far as how shiny is 8? There is no scrying mirror in view, but you do know of a crystal ball in the area.
I do.
Suppose if you wanted to polish my elbow, you could probably make it work.
um, Miss Vanilla, I have sort of awkward question, I guess. I noticed you had a crystal ball in your quarters. Would it be possible for me to take a look at it?
She doesn't stop knitting, but she looks up at you and says, "What would you want with that?"
I just to take a look at it.
Yes, yes. Raoul, come. And one of the men playing cards, the bouncer, as you called him last session, stands up and comes over and leans down to Ranella. And she says, "Let them into my quarters. They want to look at they want to look at the crystal. Just let them in and keep an eye on them." And she keeps knitting with Tate, and
What does the bouncer
He-
look like?
he is quite tall, very
Okay.
burly, very broad-chested, dark hair, slicked back, dark mustache, a little bit of scruff where the rest of his beard would be.
Age range?
Probably in his 30s.
Okay. I'm gonna sit in it.
I just stand and watch.
All right.
I'm frowning the whole time.
You're frowning?
Yes.
Hold my knitting up to 8.
I flash smile and give a thumbs up. And then once you put it back down, I go back to frowning.
Oh, no.
It's not big enough yet, but I'm a fast knitter, so wait. Knit a little faster.
Raoul nods to you, reality, walks you over to the entrance to Ranella's quarters, and he opens the door and lets you walk.
I will walk towards the crystal ball and I will do what I did yesterday and focus on it. And I'll be thinking about the missing kids and the silver thorn.
All right. Nothing happens at first, and then the dark purple smoke starts to fill the crystal ball again, and a small pinprick of light starts to shine through, and as the light gets bigger, the smoke dissipates just like it did yesterday until you see a bright flash of light, and then the ball is completely clear, with the exception of a very small image, and it's very blurry, and it's not too big to get a lot of detail, but you can make out the shape of someone crouching on a bed or some sort of large cushion, and they seem to be crouched in a position where their knees are up and their head is resting in their arms on their knee, and they seem to be shaking. But that's about as clear as you can make the image.
Okay, so I can't see like any details about the person crouching, boy, girl.
Nope. Can't see anything other than them and the faintest color of whatever they're sitting.
If I look back to the corner after I shake that vision off, if I look back to the corner where I saw Or like looking around the room, looking for that shadow that I saw. Are they still there?
They are not. Not that you can see.
Okay. I'll make my way out. And I'll say to Raul, thank you. And I'll
He nods and shuts the door. He had kept the door open while you focused, just so that he could keep an eye on you.
I'll walk back over to Aiton, Jokul, and Tate.
So what did you see, my child? Anything useful?
Someone crouched on a bed or pillow or something, but I didn't see any details. It was hard to see.
Yes, the crystal is not always as helpful as we would like it to be. Can often be too blurry to make out any details. It can often be too clear in details, but not in message. So it's both a blessing and a curse.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I have some things to think about.
Oh, do you know what a kerfuffle is? The knitting down and get into my bag and pull out her kerfuffle.
Ah, yes. Tom makes those every year for the festival.
Trade for the knitting needles and the yarn.
How about this? Instead of a trade for the knitting needles, every chance you get, you make a new scarf and you give it on every occasion you can to a stranger in need. You pass on that kindness, and it shall be repayment for the kindness I have shown you today.
Okay. Do you want the kerfuffle anyway?
She moves her mouth a little bit, and with her tongue sticks out essentially dentures, and then sticks it back in her mouth and says, I think I shall pass on something like that, but thank you for the offer.
Okay. Put it back in my bag.
So what do you think? Should we head back to the tavern? Or wait, how long?
Yeah, how to midday?
5 is past. Just kidding.
You've probably got another couple hours, so
Okay.
if you guys want, if you don't have anything specific that you want to do, we can fast forward. If you have some things you need to do, we can do that.
Oh, wait, we're gonna look for a bookstore.
I say we fast forward.
I mean, we're with the Ravani people. We can always ask about the multicolored chip.
We did we mentioned the chip with the thorns.
Which is the ones we were given when they were advertising themselves. We didn't tell them about the possible chip framing.
Yeah.
I think Ranella was more interested in the fact that it matched up with the vision more than the fact that it was a mock-up chip.
Yeah, I didn't really focus on that.
I'm content to not go to a bookstore, by the way. So
Okay.
we can do that later. It's not an emergency.
I'm content to not talk to Renella, so someone else can do it.
That's right. You are not in a good mood with this particular person concerning yesterday. For not to give away any hints for last session, because if you haven't seen it yet, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that 8 did not have a great interaction with Renella last session and apparently knows how to hold a grudge.
Grudges are the best.
Do you guys want to move forward? Do you want to pass up the opportunity to discuss a possible framing situation? Hold off on that? You want to?
Tate would not bring it up, so if
I think that would be something Jokel would potentially bring up as a concern, given Riala and Jokel's still edge of paranoia. Like, hey,
Okay.
this seems like something a thieves guild might do. This is like, hey, we are well versed in this kind of stuff.
Doggo.
Quiet.
She's upset at the situation. Okay.
No, she's just like, it's cold out and I have no fur.
Oh.
Oh no, naked dog.
But let me guess, it's still like 60 degrees.
I think it's like 52 without checking my thermometer.
God,
All right, we're gonna move on from that, because those of us on the East Coast are freezing our butts. All right, so, all right, so Jokel's gonna mention that to Renella. Okay, so when he does, she looks over at him, and her eyes squint a little bit, and she says, "Are you suggesting the Rovani could be part of a plot or something? That would be most concerning."
Especially if it's a plot you don't know you're a part of.
Oh, that is a most disturbing thought.
The chip Lady Benjamin had was similar to the one you gave us yesterday, but the colors were different. I assume you guys have a standard type of chip that you normally hand out. Is there another faction that uses different colors?
We generally will, as a people, hand out similar symbols, just so that if we run into others of our kind, it is easier to point out and prevent possible swindling if the other grouping is not as honest as us. As I said, there are Rovani that are known as thieves. There is a reason we have that reputation, because there are people out there who are not so pleasant. But I have never heard of a chip with that description. Now, that does not mean that other members have not used it, but I have never seen that, and that thought is most disturbing. But I will make my family aware of it, and we will keep an eye out for that.
If we took you to see Lady Benjamin and showed you the fake chip, do you think you could give us any extra information on it? Like the way it was made, something that's off that might give us a clue?
I went with my sister this morning. Lady Benjamina did not provide the chip. I suppose I could look at it, but I do not know what help I could offer. But if it may give some further information, I could try.
Do you guys craft the chips yourself, or are they just tokens that you hand out and collect on from city to city?
We generally make them ourselves. We just take some scrap wood and we whittle the wood down until they are formed into these little wooden chips, and then we bake them.
I'm sorry to. You clearly know magic, or at least some divination abilities, which is a kind of magic. Do your people practice other magic, something that would have made them capable of not your people specifically, but capable of stealing hundreds of children away in the night without being caught, without any sign? Because that's complicated magic.
Our people generally practice spells for illusion, for parlor tricks. People like me that possess the gift generally do not squander it on something like that. We would prefer to keep our interactions small. Our people have suffered much when we did things on a larger scale in the past. That's why our race, our culture is dwindling, and we are much smaller groups than we used to be. And again, I cannot speak for all Rovani, but for any that I have run into in my lifetime, we would not risk something like this. It would signal certain death for our people.
I don't think it would be sort of Rovani anyway. I'm pretty sure the answer to this question is going to be no, but have I heard of anything like Peter Pan situation, or is that like a thing? Like that kind of story? Or like, I don't know, I'm getting like Lost Boy vibes.
Children and take them to the Feywild because they don't do their homework.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out if Jokel being like adjacent to Feywild and the Shadowfell would be offended by these myths, or just like, no, we
I don't know,
capture
is he
people.
so far removed at this point?
Yeah,
I mean, he still spent like 100 years out there. He's like, no, that's a load of baloney. We take prisoners, but the monsters just eat.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, is there anything, like, have I heard of anything like that happening?
Where you came from, no.
Yeah, thought so. Worth a shot. I tried.
This whole situation is very unusual to all of you.
I mean, yeah, there's no way Jokel can dredge up much information, but it's just like, hey, I'm from the plane next door. Stop making us out to be the monsters.
Oh my god.
Well, to be fair, you are half dressed in very scary armor and you're wrapped with a spiked chain. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardcore goth. Okay.
Any further thoughts, Senna?
I say we go back to the manor.
Mhm.
Oh my god, is that doggo wrapped in a blanket?
Yes, she is.
She's happy though.
Yeah,
All right, sorry, squirrel
okay.
moment. So we're going to fast forward, and it is after midday, and you have arrived at the manor. There are no more crowds, but the 2 guards are still at the door.
We're back.
They don't look at you. There's no response. They just stare straight ahead.
We're gonna
Did
go
we
in
bring
now.
Lady Ranella with us? Miss
I
Ranella?
don't know, did you? You asked if she'd help or if she would be able to do something, but you didn't say whether you were bringing her with you, so you tell me.
She offered, but if her timetable didn't allow her to come with us, then no. But if she was free for the rest of the day, Joko would basically escort her along.
All right, if you guys had intended for her to go, I'll allow and say that she is there.
Okay.
And
We would like to speak with Lady Benjamina. We said that we would come back after the crowd was gone.
They don't answer. They don't move.
Is it like in a
But-
weird way?
No, they're just standing there, watching. But you do hear behind you Lady Benjamin say, "You need to knock on the door, my love."
Where did that come from? Behind me?
Yep. All right, knocking. So the door is opened by Aaron, and he says, "Oh, yes, come in. You brought a Rovani?"
we brought a friend who might be able to help with the situation.
Oh, yes, I didn't mean anything by it, sir. I come in. He turns and gestures for you to come into the.
He called me sir.
Oh. We go.
Hat off.
You all head into the foyer, and Aaron leads you back to the study just as he did before. And he opens the door, and Basil and Captain Keelan and Lady Benjamin are still huddled over the desk. And you enter as he did before, and Lady Benjamin looks up and says, "You've returned. I'm glad. It's been a trying morning."
I would imagine so, and I'm sorry again. We brought a friend with
You
us.
brought Renella, I see. Welcome, Renella. What are you here for?
I'm gonna look at Basil. Just very pointed.
Insert Jim from The Office.
Renella walks up a little bit and It says, they asked me to look at the wooden coin, my lady, to see if I could discern whether or not it is possibly Rovani make. Benjamina signals to Captain Keelan, who gives Ranella the chip, and he hands her the chip a lot less grudgingly than he gave to you guys.
I sidestep closer to Basil. Just one step.
Ranella handles the chip, and she clenches it in her palm, and you see her close her eyes and mumbling something under her breath. She looks at it, she smells it, she rubs it in her fingers, and she gives it back to Captain Keelan and says, "Well, if I didn't know better, I would say that is a Rovani chip. But the paint, there's something off in the paint. I do not know what, but there is something off. Something not normal in how we handle our tokens. And I'm sorry that there's nothing more I can give for you for that, but hopefully it will be at least something."
If nothing else, it helps reinforce that it's not a chip of your making.
Which is all the more concerning. Lady Benjamina takes the... You're going to take another side step. Lady Benjamina takes the chip from Basil, and she starts to play with it again like she did earlier. She's really handling this and rubbing her thumbs against it. And she turns and she says... She sees Tate moving closer and says,
Just like 3 little steps. Not like actively moving.
"I
Trying
know
to be
what you are
subtle.
getting at. Go ahead and take a seat. Basil told me what you requested. He will have it for you in just a moment."
Sit. Cross my
So,
ankles.
unfortunately, we
Try and
have not
cross them.
learned anything more than what we discussed this morning. Marcus appears to be indeed the only one with the chip. Nobody saw any children leaving the city. Nobody has reported anyone suspicious, and nobody heard anything. It just seems as if they vanished into thin air.
You know, my lady, I apologize. May I speak?
You may.
It seems odd that they left a token on your son's bed. Particularly a token with a symbol that's not recognized. If all the other children vanished without a trace, and only one was given some sort of token, then that generally sounds like a calling card to have you know who did it, but not have any way of finding them. But no one seems to recognize it, so why leave it in the first place?
That is what I am hoping you can help us with. I am going to send you off with the token to see if you can find answers. We do not have as large of a military here as one would expect for a city of this size. We are generally peaceful people, and our neighbors are generally peaceful. We would have no need for large armies. So therefore, I cannot spare any guards to go on this mission, and you are the only people that volunteered assistance. So if your offer is still good, I would be willing to fill your supplies and give you a small line of credit that you could use to refill your supplies as needed, depending on how long this journey would last you. And I hope that you can find some answers as to what the symbol is who made it, and where our children are. If you return successfully, I will let you have your choice from this city's treasure hoard, which has been building up since the city's inception. It has never not needed to be touched, other than my father's most extravagant festival. But even then, I think something like this warrants a little more extravagance as a reward if it is successful. So what do you say?
Of course. We will help.
Yes.
As nobody else stepped forward, it would be our honor to assist in finding the city's children.
Thank you. She slumps a little bit in her chair and now looks visibly weary and worn. And she turns to you and she says, I will tell you that we have decided we are going to cancel the festival this year. I do not feel celebration is appropriate at a time like this. It will be the first time this city has gone without the Festival of Aram since inception over 1,000 years ago.
Perhaps you could hold the festival when the children are returned.
Perhaps.
And then the festival will have two meanings then. Two things to celebrate.
That is a very nice thought, Tate. I will keep that suggestion, and if the children come back, which I hope they do, then you will all be celebrated. And you are right, the festival will have two purposes. Would leaving in the morning be too soon? Do you think having the afternoon to gather your supplies and decide what you would need for your trip be sufficient?
We can do that.
Yeah, there should be more than enough time.
All right. I am going to go and rest. Tate, Basil, and Captain Keelan will sit here and take care of your needs. If any of you need anything, do not hesitate to ask. I will
One
see you
question
on the...
before you go, my lady. Just one more.
Yes. Yes.
This is going to sound very improper and impolite. What are your son's pillows made out of?
I was just gonna ask that.
Velvet? Why?
I'm gonna look at Riala.
Lady Benjamina turns and looks at Riala. Why? Why do you ask that?
Something I saw. Not saw, saw. I don't know what it means.
Do you mean like a vision? Did you see this happening?
No. Um, it's a silver thorn on a velvet pillow.
Could the thorn perhaps represent the fake chip?
That's what I was thinking. And then I saw someone crouched on the bed, and I didn't see their face. I didn't see any details. And I'm not quite sure what it means yet.
May we perhaps inspect your son's bedchambers?
She raises her eyebrows at first and then just very tiredly nods. Captain Keelan, as soon as the boy is done with the papers, escort them up to Marcus's room. You'll have to excuse me. I need to go lie down. Forgive me. I will see you in the morning. And with that, she exits the study. And we are going to end our session here. And we will find out. You need to stop yelling. We are going to find out what Tate learns or does not learn in the ledger book. When we come back, we will also find out what the party does on the first leg of their journey. So we will see you March 9th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard for session 4. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.
Thank you.